Hello, everybody. My name is Daria, and welcome to our webinar. This webinar is dedicated to the topic of ensuring security of your imports and payments. And yesterday we already had one webinar about ensuring security of your imports. We reviewed basic tips about how to ensure security of your imports regarding dealing with a supplier, how to check your suppliers, what to include into your agreement when you deal with a factory, and what you don't need, for example, to include into your agreement, how to be very clear about communicating with the factory. What you need to tell them in advance, what you need to include into your agreement. So if you would like to, then definitely it's very, very recommended to watch our previous webinar as well. So thank you very much to all attendees who made it today. And as I mentioned, my name is Daria. I'm a senior account manager in V-Trust Inspection Company. I've been working here already for over 5 years. And what we do is that we do inspections, quality control, factory audits, inspections, lab testing for your needs in China. So we have inspection network now in China, in India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Cambodia, and we have all-inclusive rates. It's $268 one inspection, all-inclusive. And yeah, so we are assisting you with all your quality control needs in China. As I mentioned, we will be reviewing safety of your payment methods. And you might have heard already about fraud suppliers, yeah, that your factory, it went fake, it went fraud when you placed an order. So definitely here, as we reviewed already yesterday, it's certainly recommended to verify your supplier, to check your supplier, yeah, before you make the payment, before you place an order. And you should check certainly their business premises, their documents, their export license, their business license, also the certificates which they need to obtain for their products. Also, you need to check their capacity, yeah, their production capacity, equipment, their business premises, if it's their factory, for example, or if it's under lease agreement, and so on and so forth. Actually, there are many points. So if you would like to know which specific points to follow when checking your factory, you're definitely very welcome to get back to us, and we'll provide you with the list what is checked during our factory audit. And you also might have heard about hacked payments, yeah? So sometimes when you communicate with the supplier, everything goes very smoothly. But when you're nearing already the stage of payment, the payment transaction, sometimes it happens. Of course, it's not very frequent, yeah, but still sometimes it does happen that thieves, basically, yeah, the hackers, they just take control of the communication when it's quite short term thing, then you might not notice that the domain name has been changed. Yeah, you can see here from VIP163 to VIP.163. This is just an example. Of course, it's very, very simplified one, but still beware of these cases. Yeah, because sometimes also your previous correspondence with this factory, it's in the bottom of your email thread. So it's also not that easy to notice that immediately. Sometimes you pay the deposit and not sure about the future of your order. So we also had the case, recent case with our client. So he paid the deposit, and basically he didn't know with which factory or trading company he is dealing with, because he was not sure where his order is being kept, here is stored. So we physically went there, yeah, to the warehouse where those products were stored. We visited the factory. Actually, it wasn't the factory. We found out that it's a trading company which kept the goods at a warehouse. So that's why it's also good to again, check the supplier. And if you're not sure about your goods, where they are stored, then it's also good to conduct at least an inspection, or come to China and also visit that factory or warehouse yourself. So that's why today we will just briefly review basic payment methods. I will not be going through the description of these payment methods, because you might be already familiar with those, and these payment methods, they're very common. It's kind of university knowledge, so we will be not spending much time on the description. For example, telegraphic transfer, yeah, very common method. I think over definitely 80% of all transactions happening in trade business with China would have this telegraphic transfer as an option and as the first option. So standard bank transaction, right? We will also show you here briefly the process of TT. Again, you might be already very familiar with that, so I'll just keep silent here, just let you some time to read through. So it's yeah, as I mentioned, quite a standard payment method. Again, here sometimes buyers, yeah, sometimes importers, they prefer to conduct quality inspection before the second payment. Sometimes not. So definitely, it's very recommended to be included into the process of TT, this quality inspection. Okay, we are moving to the second payment method. Here also we would give you, we would like to give you one tip, yeah, that telegraphic transfer bank fees. So it might be quite a kind of a petty issue, yeah, petty question, but it's also worthy to pay attention to that, because sometimes you might not communicate with the supplier about that up front, but then after some time, yeah, after you already get to the stage of payment, you might notice that, yeah, the supplier he actually mentions that all bank fees are should be just you should bear all the bank fees, and the bank fees were not included actually into the price, into the quotation. So it's also good to include this term upfront into the agreement, that outbound bank fees are the responsibility of the buyer, including the outbound banks appointed intermediary banks. Yeah, you should also check on that. Sometimes those intermediary banks, they actually charge a lot, so you can also kind of vary, yeah, regarding the intermediary banks and also your outbound banks. So check on this issue, yeah, check on this point also upfront, yeah, in advance, so that you know what exactly the bank fees to expect. Inbound bank fees, usually the responsibility of the supplier. So this is quite a common situation, yeah, when with this splitting these bank fees, but still it's quite good to pay attention to that upfront in advance, yeah, when dealing with the factory. Second payment method, letter of credit. Quite expensive, but quite a safe method, which our customers usually, yeah, not usually, but sometimes they apply that. It's actually not that common as TT. However, it definitely adds an additional extra layer of security for a buyer, yeah, because you communicate in advance, yeah, which documents need to be presented to the bank so that the payment is released. So basically, bank here is a buffer of your payments, and the payment, yeah, the funds will not be released until the supplier fulfills all the requirements, yeah, and present all the documents. Again, here the process of LC, right? So this is a little bit more complex. You're signing the agreement, and then you define the conditions for payment release, as I mentioned. So also specify which conditions, which document the supplier needs to present so that the payment is released. Yeah, so also be very cautious about these conditions. Outline everything in advance. I would like to give a small comment on this stage, yeah, quality inspection. So definitely, especially if you're dealing with a new supplier, yeah, and probably that's the reason why you're applying LC here. So if you're dealing with a suspicious factory or with a new supplier, then definitely it's also a good option to conduct quality inspection. That's why, yeah, here before the payment is released, basically quality inspection, it allows you to also receive this inspection certificate. For example, our company, we usually also issue this inspection certificate on our official company paper with official stamp and signature. And this is also one of the documents which needs to be which need to be obtained, yeah, before the payment is released. So this is a proof that yes, the shipment is compliant to your standards, to compliant to your requirements. So that's why it's good to include this stage, this step into your process of LC. And just read through the rest of the points, rest of the stages. Okay. We are going further. Payment methods, PayPal. The third very common payment method. It's very instant. It's suitable for product samples, shipping fees, smaller orders. So definitely, for example, also our inspection services, we have PayPal as an option of payment for our services. But again, if the payment is, for example, over $500 US, it's already becoming a little bit tricky to, to handle this payment method because of transaction fees, which are very high. And PayPal, usually the receiver pays the transaction fees. That's why for a customer, it's sometimes beneficial, but for a supplier and also for service providers, it's not that acceptable sometimes because transaction fees are very high. And also, I would like to mention that PayPal, it enables clients to also add this security extra level, because it also can help you with dealing with some disputes, for example, so that sometimes PayPal, it also can freeze the payment until the dispute is resolved. So it could also be quite an option. Examples of payment methods. So we have browsed just very random, found very random suppliers here on Alibaba. So let's see, which payment methods they have. So for example, here, payment method, Visa, bank card transfer. So it's very common one, common method, telegraphic transfer, e-check-in. We will mention about that a little bit later. Also Western Union, MoneyGram, PayPal options. So as you can see, there are quite many options for the suppliers to accept your payment. Another one, just also a random one. Again, bank card, telegraphic transfer here, also LC, letter of credit, Western Union, MoneyGram, and also e-check-in. We'll mention about this a little bit later. So as you can see, the variety of methods, of payment methods, is quite big. It's quite broad. So that's why just make sure that you select the one which is suitable for you. If you are not sure about the supplier, definitely it's a good way to have this preference for more secure methods like LC, like PayPal, and also e-check-in. We will also mention about that. So here. E-checking. This is a relatively new payment method. So actually, e-checking, it exists only on Alibaba platform because it was invented by them. It's now integrated into Alibaba sourcing platform. So this is a payment method which is applied for trade assurance. What is trade assurance? Trade assurance is a system which enables you to get your order trackable by Alibaba. So basically, you open an account on Alibaba. You upload, for example, your agreement. You communicate with your supplier also via this platform. So all your communication, including your also contract, your agreement, your predefined conditions of your shipment, it stays trackable by Alibaba. So that in case of any disputes, Alibaba can also help you to resolve this dispute, to resolve this case, and release the payments. So the payment is, again, stays in this buffer until your supplier fulfills all the requirements, which are predefined, and which are also trackable by Alibaba. Which requirements you might have? Certainly delivery date, certainly your standards for quality, your quality level. So if supplier doesn't fulfill that, fails to follow your requirements on delivery, requirements on quality, then it's already might be a case of the dispute. So trade assurance and e-check-in allows you to use this again tool, security tool, to enable you be much more safe about your order. But this is only integrated in Alibaba, so not a common method for dealing with other suppliers outside of Alibaba platform. Okay, we are moving further here, right? Just the table with the comparison of all payment methods. So you can see advantages and disadvantages here, pros and cons of TT, of LC, PayPal. So volumes here, yeah, for example, TT volumes should be very high, costs are relatively low, and no payment protection usually. LC, again, volumes should be quite high, costs are also quite high. And yeah, also help with the dispute resolution. I will also not be going through this table, so if you would like to, you can take a picture of that, right? So that you can review it a bit later. Also, quickly mention about open account here. So open account is also a payment method, but it's usually applied for very, very big, chain stores because open account enables a buyer, yeah, to send the payment to pay for the goods, sometimes 30 or 60 or 90 days after receiving the goods. So such very, very big companies, I don't know, Walmart and some other retailers, so they negotiate this condition with their factory so that they can the funds, yeah, to accelerate to get the smooth, funds flow, and they. Just after they receive already the payment for their goods being sold, only after that they usually pay to the factory. So, but this might be not so applicable for your case because, yeah, I think here we have attendees from small, medium enterprises, yeah, basically from this sector. So might not be applicable for you immediately. So moving further. Here we outlined another payment process. So usually our customers, usually buyers, they deal with the factory using this process, using this way of 30 to 70%, yeah, using this common way of making the payment, 30% this deposit here, and then 70% of the balance payment after the goods have been delivered to the port. So this is a very common method. However, we sometimes also advise you to use this split, yeah, this division, 30, 40, 30%. So you can see here the stages. First payment, suppliers purchases raw materials immediately. Why immediately? Because it's also quite important. Sometimes suppliers say that, oh, actually raw materials prices have gone up, yeah, increased. So we require some additional payment, yeah, from your side, from the side of the buyer. So beware that here at this stage, just force the supplier to purchase raw materials immediately after you make the payment. Otherwise, you never know. The prices might go up and some other, obstacles might appear. So just be sure that the supplier purchases raw materials immediately after your payment and check on that. Production starts and 40%. 40% of your payment is made after quality has been checked. So our company or any other third-party QC provider can go to factory, check the products, conduct this pre-shipment inspection, and only after that you release the rest of 40% of your payment after already making sure that quality actually follows your standard, yeah, which were predefined before. And then the rest of the payment, 30%. Here, order has been delivered to a buyer's designated port, and order has been inspected in the port. So try to agree on this condition, yeah. So you release the rest, 30%, only after again inspecting the whole order in your designated port or in your destination country sometimes. So we are moving further. Safety of your payment, right? How to, for example, yeah, you have selected already the way of your payment, the method of your payment, but how to ensure safety of your payment, whichever payment it is. here, the first tip would be bank details. Try to confirm bank details, not only by email, but also on company's official payment document, instruction document with the signature and stamp, to be sure that the account is actually valid and it's an actual account being used now by the company, not by just their representative. Talk to the supplier by phone or Skype to double confirm the bank details. Also very, very easy, however, very helpful method to ensure your bank details, to ensure the fact that your bank details, that the bank details of your factory are valid and are actual. Also, keep the contact information of not only the supplier's sales representative, but also of his or her supervisor. So also very good method, when there is one more person you can turn to. It's also a very good way to secure your payment and your, again, the bank details of the factory, of your partner. Here we just will briefly show you this this email which we received not so long ago from one of our customers. So I'll just give you 1 minute, several seconds to review that. So you can see the payment has already been made, and these cases, they unfortunately take place. I wouldn't say that they are very, very frequent, of course not, but still they do take place. So if it already happened, if of course these kind of precaution measures, they are very good, and they of course should be followed. But what you can do if you didn't follow them? What you can do is if you're already at this stage. So let's review some possible resolutions. Here, be careful about making threats. So it's a KCCC rule: keep calm, communicate clearly. So I'm not sure if how it indeed they come from maybe the US or Europe. So of course in your countries, back in your countries, lawsuit, if you actually use this term, then it might be effective, but probably not in China, because in China the supplier really thinks that, okay, you're starting a lawsuit, it's not just an intimidation, it's not just a threat. So and the supplier starts thinking of you as a potential enemy, not as a potential long-term partner. And in this case, assets might go already off the books, and sometimes the production and manufacturing might already be moved to another subcontracted factory and be sold to another buyer, to another customer. So don't intimidate the factory until you really mean that, until you are very ready and very prepared, thoroughly prepared to start that lawsuit, to start that court case. So if you do not, then your supplier might literally understand you and take some steps to just precaution measures and some steps to guarantee that the business will not be affected by this lawsuit. In bad cases, notify that a credit audit will be conducted to gather information about them and their affiliated companies for a lawsuit. So if you still feel that the resolution, the negotiations resolution is possible, then also try to convey the feeling that convey the feeling to the factory that actually you will know about all affiliated companies, you will know about all the financial situation, financial state of the company, so that supplier will not be that it will not be really possible, feasible for the supplier to actually try to find ways out. So that's why credit audit might also be an effective tool. And besides, if you would like to combine the first and the second tip, you can also start conducting the credit audit, and while still negotiating with the supplier about some possible, quiet and peaceful resolution way. By the way, your credit audit, VTrust also conducts credit audits, and the price is $298 US. So it's very, very doable for customers to conduct this credit audit while also, ensuring that the factory will not disappear immediately. Inform the factory that you would put comments about them in yellow pages of Alibaba or other major trade platforms. Also a very, very common way of dealing with this situation. Certainly everyone cares about their reputation, and basically the business, it exists only because of reputation sometimes. Yes, so that's why putting a flaw and putting this black stain into reputation might also be quite effective. Contact Canton Fair organizers to put the factory into blacklists of the Canton Fair. So first, this way is also quite effective. Why? If you met that factory, if you met that supplier during Canton Fair, then organizers, they also should be responsible for checking their exhibitors, for checking their partners with whom they deal with during Canton Fair. So that's why they might also be willing to help you first to track the factory, to track the supplier, and second, they definitely would be willing to receive your feedback and sometimes put the factory into blacklist so that the factory cannot take part in the fair anymore. What if you are dealing with this case when you already wired money and the supplier suddenly disappeared, right? So this is, of course, the worst case scenario, but unfortunately it also takes place. So can anything be done to get my money back? Yes. Something can be done, though it's not, of course, a guaranteed way of getting the money back. However, you can still involve the police, and you should act quickly. If you have this suspicion, that your supplier has gone fraud, for example, and your money has been stolen, then contact the police department in the local mainland China jurisdiction, and try to do it as quickly as possible, because sometimes companies, your partners the company, the factory you're dealing with might say that let's, for example, try to negotiate more about that. Let's try to resolve it in a peaceful way, and so on and so forth. However, if you already have this, clear suspicion that that's the case when your money has been basically stolen and you might not see your products anymore, your order anymore, don't postpone the resolution of this problem, because definitely your, for example, trading company, your company you're dealing with might use that time in order to, again, for example, put their assets off the books and to get prepared for a lawsuit, or get prepared for dealing with police, so that they can also take some measures, take some steps to secure themselves from possible punishment, for possible fines, and whatever it will happen. So initiate the police report at the level of the country. At the level of the county, rural, or district police in the local mainland China jurisdiction where the company is registered. Of course, from our experience and also from the experience of our buyers, this is a very, very complicated way, and sometimes this is the only way, right? So in order to enable this way, in order to get into this direction of this resolution. Of course, it's very complex. However, if you find the appropriate local lawyer partner experienced in interacting with the local police department, then it's also a way to go. It's also quite a feasible way of dealing with such a case. And so here is the checklist for preparing the police report. Certainly your lawyer, your law company might also show you the checklist, and might also advise you these points which needs to be prepared for the police report. However, here this is just a brief checklist, short checklist for your preparations. You can take a picture of that if you like, so that we do not go through it. So, as we mentioned, this is quite a worst case scenario. However, if it happens, you're also very welcome to get back to us, and we will see which advice we can give you in order to first prevent such cases, and from happening, and second, how to deal with such cases if you are already in such a situation. We can definitely recommend you the ways from our experience, from experience of our buyers, how to deal with such situations, with such cases. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure seeing you today, and hope to see you in our next webinar. Thank you.